Welcome back, everybody. This is the video that we're going to use for our adding integers review. Again, this is something that you've done before, so hopefully it will not be too unfamiliar for you. One way that you can use to add integers is to use algebra tiles. Now, you have used these before. You used them last year. Last year they were yellow and red. They call them two color counters. This time, just for the purpose of our flip chart, they're going to be green and red. So what you would do on these, let me get my pen out here, is you're going to cancel out your pairs. Remember, those are called zero pairs. You would just go right like this and cancel those two up, because see, these match up and these match up. So what are you left with? You're left with two positives. I'm going to shrink that pen a little. It's a little large. Okay, on the next one, this says, what would the equation be? So for our equation, we've got three positives. So we would have, oh, that's not going to work. Let me switch this out here. Use my finger here. So we would have three positives plus, remember our reds are negatives, so we would have plus 6 negatives. Now, in order to work it out, again, we would cross out one of each, because that makes our zero pairs. And what are we left with? We are left with -3. 3 negatives. Okay, again, this should be review. We don't use algebra tiles in 7th grade. I just wanted to refresh this with you. So now here's a couple. They give us the equation, so we're going to set them up. So let me get my little pointer back here. So for this one, we would pull over 6 red tiles, 4, 5, 6, and then we would pull over 3 green tiles because we have 3 positives, and then we can match them up, like these two match up, these two match up, and these two match up. So our final answer would be -3 because we have 3 reds left. Okay, for this one on the right, we would pull over 5 red ones, and then we need to pull over 3 more red ones. Now on this one, we don't have any green ones to match it up with. We can't make any zero pairs, so our answer is just 8 negatives. So -8. Again, hopefully should be review for you. If not, you can always rewind this, and at the end of a couple more slides later, we're going to have some kind of helpful hints for you to remember for your notes. Okay. Whenever you are doing integers, you can always use a number line. Say I wanted to add 3 and 5. We're always going to start at 0. Because we're moving positive, we would go 3 steps to the right. And then we would go, sorry for the interruption, that was the intercom. So we would move 3 steps to the right because it's positive. And then you would move 5 more spaces to the right because, again, it's positive. So you're going to end up right here, which would be -8. Or, I'm sorry, I don't know where negative came from. It would be +8. That was crazy. Okay, so when we add a positive number, we always move to the right on the number line. And then when we have a negative number and we're adding, we would move to the left. So if we're starting with -5, we're going to move 5 spaces to the left, which brings us to -5. And then we're going to add 10 positives, so we would turn around and go 10 spaces back to the right. So your final answer would be +5. Again, here's a couple more examples. If we move to the right when we're adding a positive number, we must do the opposite, which is move left when adding a negative number. So again, we always start at 0. We go to 5 positives because that's our first number. So we go 5 to the right. And then we're adding 3 negatives, so we're doing the opposite. We would turn around and go 3 to the left. And our final answer would be +2. One last example with number lines. Adding a negative number moves you to the left on the number line. So we always start at 0. Our first step would be to move to -2. Then we're adding a negative again, so we keep going to the left, and this time we would go left 5 more spaces. So our final answer is going to actually be -7. All right. So here are some rules to remember. You definitely need these in your notes. Like, for sure, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need these notes. If your signs are the same, meaning you're adding two positives or you are adding two negatives, you are going to add the numbers together and keep the same sign. Add the numbers together and keep the same sign. If your signs are different, so you have one positive number, one negative number, you will subtract the two numbers and keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. Remember, absolute value is your distance from 0 on a number line. So, subtract the two numbers means find the difference, subtract the two numbers, and then keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So we're going to use those steps in order to help us on the next page. We're going to try some of these out without our number line. Okay, on this first one, 17 plus negative 12, our signs are different. So we would say, okay, what is the difference between 17 and 12? Remember, what's the difference? Means that we subtract. So 17 minus 12 is going to be, oops, I need my eraser back. Where's my eraser? There it is going to be 5. Now look at your signs. Which one has a larger absolute value, 17 or 12? 17 does, so your answer is just positive 5. Okay, so let's go across. Negative 10 plus negative 5. Our signs are the same, so remember we add our two numbers. So 10 and 5 is 15. And because they are both negative, we keep the same sign. Add your numbers, keep the same sign. Now on the third one, down here, second row, first problem. Negative 11 plus 5. So again, we have different signs. So we're going to subtract to find the difference. 11 minus 5 is going to give you 6. And then we have to look at which one has our larger absolute value. Does 11 or does 5? Well, negative 11 has a larger absolute value, so our answer is actually negative 6. On the fourth one, over here on the right side, we have negative 22 plus negative 22. They have the same sign, so we're going to combine them, meaning we're going to add them together, and we're going to keep the sign of the numbers. So it's actually going to be negative, negative 44. And for our last two, we're going to have both of them have different signs, meaning one positive and one negative. So we have to look at, okay, let's find the difference first. The difference between 20 and 6 is 14. Please remember when I say find the difference that means subtract. So our difference is 14. Now which one has the larger absolute value? 20 or negative 6? 20 does because it's further from the 0. So your final answer would be positive 14. And then our last one again, we have one positive plus a negative. So we need to subtract them to find the difference. Well, 30 minus 17 is going to be 13. Now which one has the larger absolute value? 17 or negative 30? Negative 30 does, so our answer would be negative 13. Okay, this should be reviewed for you guys. If it's not, make sure that you let me know. And please make sure that you have the rules that I told you need to have in your notes actually in your notes. They're going to be extremely helpful for you whenever you go into this kind of work. So let me know if you have any questions. And please make sure you're taking notes on these videos. That's kind of why we do them. Have a great day.